What is going on, everyone? Leon checking in, and we're at it again with another episode. Now, today's content is an increased focus on Chromebook, which brings us to the Asus Vibe CX55 Flip. Now, I'm very excited to talk about the Asus Vibe CX55 Flip because this is proof that ChromeOS and Chromebook are maturing. The CX55 looks premium and it features good specs at a good price. Now, this device is advertised as a cloud gaming Chromebook, but it also looks like it has the internal specs to be a productivity machine for things such as video editing. Now, for this episode, we'll also be referencing the user guide. That way we can provide the best accuracy possible for this device. And as always, clarity and authenticity are necessary, which is why it's important for me to mention that I did purchase the CX55 myself. Now, in order for you to find the portion of the video that you're most interested in, we've also included watermarks to identify each section. All things said, let's go ahead and get into it. So here we are with the Asus Vibe CX55 gaming Chromebook. We're going to start by flipping the packaging around, and then we can open the lid. We are first greeted by the CX55 in protective film, which we can lift out of the packaging. Next, we have information about perks for this Chromebook, warranty card, registration, and a user guide. And to the right of where the product information is, we have this separate compartment, which is going to house our charger, which is going to be USB Type-C. So here we are with the Asus Vibe CX55 Cloud Gaming Chromebook in mineral gray, which looks very nice in my opinion. The lid features Asus reflective branding as well as Chromebook labeling. Moving to the rear of the device, we have these chrome hinges, which you may or may not like, but they do vibe very well with the Asus branding. Personally, I love dark colorways like the mineral gray you see here, so I would have preferred these hinges be the same color as the rest of the chassis to black out the whole unit. Now, the CX55 again is a cloud gaming Chromebook, and it does have a good list of ports to carry that gaming theme. So first, we're going to have a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 port, a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A port, and then a audio jack. We'll also have a volume rocker and a power button. I love these both because they're color-coded orange, and that carries the gaming aesthetic. Now, a bit harder to see would be this LED indicator for the battery. Now, spinning the CX55 around, we're going to have some additional ports, which is always a plus here. So again, we're going to have a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2, and then we're going to have an HDMI 2.0. That's a huge plus for hooking up to external displays. And then we're going to have a micro SD card reader. Not that I would use that one that much, but it is nice to have included here. Moving on to the underside of the CX55, it's going to look similar to other computers. So we're going to have a series of vents, and then we're going to have some rubber feet on 4 different points to protect the underside of the device. Now, there is a fan inside this unit as well. I don't have much experience with it, but I did have it come on when in tablet mode, and it does make moderate noise. Next, we're going to open the laptop, so I'm going to flip the unit over here. And one of the things I actually look for when opening a unit is if we're able to do so with one hand. Now, I will say with the CX55, you aren't able to do so. You can see that the bottom of the laptop lifts up, so you're going to have to use an additional hand to hold the bottom. Now, there's actually a really nice feature of the CX55 that I wanted to demonstrate, and that is when you open the lid, it actually tilts the keyboard towards the user. So you can see that as we reach 90 degrees here, everything is still pretty flat. But if we go further, the keyboard is actually going to lift up at this portion of the unit. And that's also going to help with air ventilation underneath. Again, we have those vents, and there is a built-in fan. Now, this feature is cool and all, but you may be wondering how this works. And you may also be concerned about this edge of the CX55. So we have this bumper here, and that's going to be on the opposite side of the CX55's lid as well. And that's going to give us that ability to angle the keyboard towards the user. But this also protects the edge of the CX55 from getting scraped up. Now, before we move any further with this video, I do want to point out the fingerprints on the lid here. You can see that we are starting to accumulate some. So this is going to be a fingerprint magnet. But moving on, we do want to take a look at the keyboard, which is an attractive looking unit. So I'm going to open the lid here and we can take a closer look. So this keyboard is going to be a large anti-ghosting unit with a narrow numeric keypad, and it's also backlit. The backlighting is very responsive, but the con here is that the only color option is white, which is out of character for a cloud gaming laptop even. You would hope to see some RGB here, but that's not the case. But not all is bad, or perhaps you can just simply call me an optimist, but we do have the orange coated AWSD keys, which do carry on that gaming aesthetic because those keys are normally used for movement controls in game. And these look really cool. Next, we have what Asus calls the 360-degree ergo lift hinge, which allows you to place the CX55 into 3 different positions. But first, I will say that the CX55 is a fairly wide device with good weight, so this is going to take proper coordination to set up. Again, we need to use both hands to articulate this hinge. And we're going to demonstrate stand mode first, and you can see that I actually have to use the table to do what I'm doing. So this is going to be stand mode that you see here. And then tent mode is basically the same thing, except we're changing the orientation of the CX55. And then finally, we have tablet mode, which if we push display onto the base there, we will enter tablet mode, and this is going to be a large viewing experience. And then we have the touchscreen 15.6-inch full HD display with 250 nits, and I actually had to turn down the lights here in the studio. They're actually completely off because overall this display does look really good, but 250 nits isn't going to be a whole lot of brightness. I would have preferred more brightness, especially if you're going to take this device outside. It's going to be hard to see that display. And then we have the dual speaker setup with sound by Harman Kardon, and this actually sounds really good. And finally, we have internal specs. Now, the CX55 ships in several configurations. This unit here features an Intel Core i7, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, a 512 gigabyte SSD, and up to 10 hours of battery life. Now, when it comes to the RAM, again, this is a cloud gaming notebook, so we aren't going to be doing hardcore gaming on this machine. It's going to be streamed. But the 16 gigabytes could be helpful for things we'll be testing in the future, such as video editing. And the 512 gigabytes of SSD will especially be helpful for students or anyone looking to download content, such as apps, movies, music, or anything like that. And then the up to 10-hour battery life. Again, this is a shorter video. We're going to have to test that. So that's going to be coming in a future episode. And then we have storage. And here I have a case by Smartree, and the CX55 fits perfectly in here. It is going to be a snug fit, but the CX55 will actually slide into the pocket that you see included in this case. You're going to have to push the CX55 completely in, and then we can zip up here. And this is going to provide overall protection. So let's wrap things up. Initial rating for the Asus Vibe CX55 Flip will be a 8 of 10. Now, the CX55 appears to be designed very well, although it is a bit awkward to maneuver into the different modes using the 360-degree hinge. Then we have the keyboard, which is nice, but it doesn't feature RGB, which is a bit out of character for a cloud gaming laptop even. But to its credit, we do have the small AWSD keys that are color-coded orange. That provides a nice pop to help carry the gaming aesthetic. Plus, we've got the volume rocker and power button that are also in that orange color that pop on the side as well. And lastly, the CX55 is a crime scene investigation when it comes to fingerprints. I'm constantly having to wipe down all of the unit, whether it be the lid, the display, or the area near the touchpad. But this episode is just an overview, and we still need to cover other areas such as the web camera, battery performance, or cloud gaming. So make sure you stay tuned. So that is it for today's content. If you enjoyed it and found it useful, please leave a like. If you're watching on YouTube and have any questions or comments, as always, drop those down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Now, there are 3 ways you can support the content. The first way is to click on the Amazon storefront link in the description below. There you'll find items that I have bought or would buy, and anything you buy from the storefront does support the content. The next way you can show your support is just by sharing this content with someone who might enjoy it or find it useful. And the last way you can show your support is just by clicking the subscribe button. Now, liking and subscribing are important because those are ways to vote on whether you like the content. Liking and subscribing are also important for new viewers and listeners. If new viewers and listeners see likes and subscribers, they're going to think that the content is helpful, worth watching, and listening to. And as always, thanks for watching, and may the universe flow in your favor. And until next time, Leon checking out.
You